Loyalty. I don't mean to sound like Silco from Arcane, but loyalty is something of a fleeting and scarce and very valuable thing. See, everyone wants loyalty. Almost no one is. For one to be loyal to another, very strong feelings have to be involved, and for these feelings to manifest, the receiver of loyalty has to have done something to earn it. An audience isn't owed loyalty by the creator, and the creator certainly isn't owed jack shit from the audience either. Ideally, a creator and an audience must be aware that whatever they have is a transactional relationship. A viewer comes to you for entertainment, and they throw you support of any kind to keep you entertaining. In the VTuber industry, because it's held up by simps, the concept of loyalty is not just unavoidable, but something to be fought for. Some VTubers actually fight for their audience and get jealous whenever their fans actually go to other content creators. This is a place that is more donation and fan reliant than your average normal and entertainment subculture. As such, the dark truth is that we content creators in this space have to find ways to keep viewers not just coming back, but to also drop a couple hundred or two, maybe even give us free stuff via Throne. VTubers ultimately share a pool within the space, especially if this space is filled with VTubers that either make the same content that they do, or if they share a fan base. And if they share a fan base, then that donation pool is limited. To essentially one-up other VTubers, people in this industry has to provide value beyond the times they are live. They have to take advantage of the industry's more parasocial reliant culture however they can, and very few VTubers actually achieve this in a way that does not feel slimy or reliant on GFE. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that. You do what you want as a VTuber as long as you understand the consequences. And in this video, I want to highlight an absolute veteran. Someone who has overcome odds and maintained an absolute unit of a fan base. Here, we talk about Hololive Myth was EN VTubing's most influential VTuber wave, and while all of them enjoy an unmatched overall group success, even the top has its own hierarchy. Takanashi Kiara struggled the most in the group. Everybody had a niche. Gura was the lolly cunny person, Kali was the rap tomboy person, Ame was the gamer tech person, Ina was the artist comfy person, but who was Kiara? Well, she had a unique skill that she herself had soon to pride herself with and made her stand out: the ability to speak Japanese. She was a yapper, but she didn't have the same popularity of the other girls due to a few reasons. New Kiara fans might be confused about a lot of these reasons because right now, Kiara is... well, a lot of these don't really apply, but I think that sentiment alone proves how far she's come. Because she didn't start that way. Let me break down each of these criticisms.
Shut the hell up! I can't focus! You're goddamn annoying!
The chicken voice continues to filter people, and at that point that's basically more so a preference thing than actual real criticism. The second criticism has a bit more weight to it. See, Kiara is a bit of a yapper, as we've already established. And among the myth girls, she's probably the most extroverted. This woman's charisma check is nuts to people she collabs with. But that skill doesn't necessarily translate to entertainment ability. It helps, but it's not the end-all be-all, and it certainly did not help that Kiara is a jack of all trades whose skill set is leaning towards talking. Talking that would have pulled more people in if they weren't filtered by the chicken voice. This skill allowed her to be a great accessory to any stream that she was in or was hosting. But therein lied the issue. She was an accessory, a spice to the food rather than the food itself. Her collabs did really well, but her solo streams? Not that much, especially in games that were not necessarily a mainstream pick, and nowhere is this issue more evident than Takamori. Takamori was the ship name of Kali and Kiara. They had this very fun mom-dad relationship because while Kali was masculine, Kiara was very feminine. The most feminine in EN, arguably. Early Myth's greatest and most fun moments was born from Takamori, such as the time Kiara's channel got nuked, and when it got reinstated, she roleplayed as if she died and doesn't remember anything. She committed to the bit so hard that she legit roleplayed the debut assets just to keep it 100% immersive. The absolute real sorrow that I had watching this chicken woman pretend to like forget everything and debut and LARP as if it was her first time. The biblical joy and screaming I did when Callie joined the chat and Kiara started screaming her name as she starts to remember who she was and what she used to be.
Callie-senpai? Huh? Callie? Callie! I remember it! How could I ever forget you?
Absolute cinema. This worked well lore-wise because Kiara was a phoenix, a creature that revives itself after death, and Callie was the grim fucking reaper, giving this cinematic star-crossed lover dynamic between them. Their lore complements so much with each other that of course they'd be fucking gay. Duh! Do you have any idea how good that concept is from a writing perspective? And the chances that their lore dynamic, community perception, and personality would complement each other is lower than the chances that I'd grow above 5'3", and yet it exists. And yet, Kiara made it happen, acted it out, and it came from something as fucking stressful as her channel almost getting absolute cinema. Kiara from the get-go has shown people the extent of talent-driven entertainment. This is the immersive lore that people actually get invested on. Not lore videos with fancy animations, but lore established through committing to the bits, talent interaction, and community involvement. But lest we forget, why did a handful of people dislike Takamori if it gave us this much? Well, I mean, although I did have this much to say, I kinda have to agree with a lot of the criticism. I think Takamori overstayed its welcome. The sheer emotions it awakened in people were getting annoying, and for a certain period of time, it felt that Takanashi Kiara didn't exist. Only Takamori, as if it was her sole thing to be known for. And I kinda have to agree that for a lot of parts, it felt forced. Like, the engagement, especially from Callie's end, didn't feel as reciprocated. But the even more insidious sentiment was that people feeling like Kiara couldn't grow a brand without riding on the backs of others, and that she knows that, and she's taking advantage of that fact very, very well. A leech, if you will. And up till Kiara and Callie addressed how they were gonna tune it down, this was a major talking point for her critics, and it seems like Kiara herself agrees.
I didn't feel like I could continue it the same way anymore, because like I wanna continue being like, you know, collab a lot and be friends and all that, but guys, don't be so dramatic about it. You guys are making way too much drama, like, oh, breakup, blah blah blah. Don't do that, please. It's just I don't want to limit myself. That's maybe one thing I can say.
I mean, she agrees that Takamori was pigeonholing her identity, not the part that she's a leech. Anyway, moving on to...
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Please watch my Menhera video. It's one of the videos that I'm very, very proud of, and it's also relevant to what I'm about to say. See, I remember a time where I myself, and often, observe others parrot the same sentiment that Kiara was a bit of a number, Andy. Kiara wasn't the most stoic or hard-skinned person in the group.
You know, I just want to be friends with everyone, and you know, there's so much that the other girls are so good at, and they all have something that they're really good at, best at, and the only thing that I can say that I'm best at is speaking Japanese fluently. So it's like, it's my only real strength. So I just wanted to make something out of that. I thought if I can do anything really good, then it's that. And I know it's sometimes confusing. I know. I'll figure something out.
She is very much emotional, and her being emotional and insecure got her branded as a sort of Menhera by those more critical of her. That insecurity causing or being caused by her being the last placer in the group in terms of subs and views. But one important thing, how is it that her super chat revenue is higher than most members? In the VTuber industry, the high amount of super chat revenue is often indicative of a fan-base passion. It means that you're doing something that have your audience, however small they may be, keep coming back, be engaged, and become content enough to open their wallets. It means they're loyal. High super chat and donation revenue also comes from just chatting streams and instances where the chat and the streamer communicate directly, which is, fortunately, what Kiara is super good at. I don't know if Kiara realizes this or not, but despite her initial shortcomings, she had somehow developed one of the most passionate and hardcore fan bases in the industry. And I have seen a lot of VTubers and their fan bases. Whether that be in the way that she directly addresses her fan base and engages with them in this more personal, intimate way, whether that be in the way that she is real with her audience regarding a few issues that she has against Hololive and her situation, whether that be how she pushes through those situations and is one of the most hardworking persons out there, bringing to fruition events and content nobody would have been able to do, collabs no one dared pursue, and whether that be her sweet and bubbly and overall peak social skills that bring people together, and whether be her stories and rich experiences, adding character, and quite honestly feeling like you get to know her a little each time you tune into her streams. All of this is to say that Kiara's struggles and her shortcomings and the way she makes up for them, the reason that even the weakest KFP employees believe in her potential. This woman does her best in everything she does. And come late 2021 and early 2022, those critical of her recognized that there were less sad girl posting and sad tangents, more grinding and working on her personal brand. Suddenly, from a girl who's not really well known for anything aside from her trilingualism, came the emotional core of the group. The driving, passionate go-getter whose welcome presence couldn't be avoided. Kiara effectively became the strong, beating heart of Myth, bringing them together, pushing for collabs, and leading her own community to make fun stuff. Kiara's early struggles and passion made her relatable, made her real despite the veneer of kayfabe, and that sort of personality made her the most open character in Myth. Somebody you would be comfortable approaching. In fact, her fanbase is so parasocial that KFP being a cult sounds half serious. She is essentially the Mikela of Myth. But without the fratricide, of course, and the manipulating and gaslighting and whatever it is that Mikela did. I still haven't watched the Vativaria video. The Kiara from 2020 and the Kiara from 2024 are two entirely new beasts. Level 1 thief versus level 90 mafia boss type of shit. But how, silly bunny rabbit creature fucker, you may ask. But first, please watch my VTuber tropes video explaining what the heart is in VTuber speak. I think it explains a lot what her appeal is, but do that after this video. We have quite a bit to unravel. Ah, I bet I scared you with that music. Don't worry, you're not watching Pornhub, but you might as well be, because Kiara Ludes do be fire. Literally as well, because she's a phoenix, and because the EN industry no longer revolved around Myth, they had new and upcoming girls whose time and attention took away from the general audience, especially come 2022, where they no longer had a stranglehold in the industry as they used to. People started looking for and discovering other VTubers, taking time and attention away from Hololive. The same was also happening within Hololive actually, and with Niji EN lifting the collab ban with Hololive, a whole world of opportunity would reach to those who wished to take it. Kiara didn't just wish to take it, she took it. As per her extroverted tendencies, this girl went everywhere, making fan bases outside Hololive fall in love with her, and that's important because 3 out of the Myth girls were introverted peanuts who normally stuck to their own. Peanuts not being an insult, by the way, just in case people start getting me shit for it. Kiara was out there turning more than just frogs gay. I believe if you were a follower of both Holo and Niji, you would agree that Pomu and Kiara were the Romeo and Juliet of VTubing. Beyond that though, V-Shoujo, big Twitch indies, the whole 9 yards. 3D events, getting Myth together after months of being absent, and actual group projects. I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for Kiara to push for these collabs, organize these events, and there's also the need to think about everyone's time around you, setting up schedule, and that's on top of the personal plans that she already has. It's a task that's not to be underestimated, and the Orange Woman somehow still pulls through. And speaking of personal plans, that's actually important to talking and explaining the sheer power of Takanashi Kiara. She knows what people want, and she knows how to give it. Beaten by only Calliope Mori and topped only by the idolest of idols in the JP branch, Takanashi Kiara is a creative powerhouse, hooking in a strong Korean and idol fanbase with various songs and performances that honestly should have been seen by more people. This has the Orange Woman as their Oshi, and if not, they still can't help but be intimately drawn towards her anyway. I could go on and explain why people love Kiara so much, down to the smaller details, like how she's the most feminine in Myth, which leads to a lot of general attraction towards her personality, being emotionally intelligent yet stern with her boundaries. All of these matter. It's all of these small reasons that compelled KFP to be as loyal and consistent as they are throughout the years. Kiara's struggles, character, and influences are why she has one of VTubing's most passionate and loudest fanbase. How she earned people's loyalty was through experience, content, culture, and character that very few VTubers have yet to replicate. From a number-focused underdog into the strong, beating heart of Hololive EN, Takanashi Kiara is truly the strongest idol. Like and subscribe!